Silver way, stand up. Rah, rah, rah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the DFASS, the dumpster fire abortion shit show with your host, Mike Walters. 3G himself, Greg Henson. Troy Courtney is here as well. How we doing, everybody? I don't see. There he is. I don't know if you could hear your music intro there, Greg, but that was specifically pulled for you.
It sounded as bad as the Lions play. Now, look, I knew you'd be all bricked up over the fucking
What are you talking about?
3 in a row, 2 on the road, man.
Playoff win or bust. I don't care until they win a playoff game. Because
That's
here's
fine.
what's
You
going
don't
to
have
happen.
to. But you can't get to the playoffs unless you start winning some games, and they started winning some games. So get on board, boss. Let's go.
Here's what's going to happen. You guys are going to get all horny over it, and then they're going to piss it away. You know they will. They're not
I
going
hope
to make
so.
the
They're
playoff.
screwing up their draft pick. This is stupid.
Yeah, but the Rams are hooking them up.
Yeah, but we should have had 2 top 5s. Now we're going to get a top 5 and like a 12. So it's like the Rams were still pretty good.
Yeah, what do you think, by the way? There's been a lot of talk, and I don't fully understand it, of, obviously with their first-round pick, they got to take a quarterback, for the future. I disagree completely. Jared Goff is not the problem. He's still young. He knows the system, and he's clearly getting better. He doesn't need to throw for 300 yards a game. He needs to manage the game, and I don't see a problem with him.
I wouldn't touch any of these quarterbacks. I hate them all.
If there was a can't miss coming out, then it would be worth taking the shot at. But this is a deep quarterback draft too. I mean, none of them are great, but there's a lot of that mid-range talent that you can take a flyer on a guy later in the draft, I think.
I think I would take out of those 5 draft picks in the top 60, I would take 4 of them on defense, and then I would maybe grab another receiver. And then re-sign Jamal Williams. I wouldn't even dick around with a quarterback. I don't think it's necessary. I don't hate Goff. I think Goff is going to be better than any of these clowns coming out. You want C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young? I don't.
No. What about I like what I've seen. Troy and I have been staying up late on Saturday night watching some of these SC games. I like the kid in Southern Cal. Cam Rising's a little interesting out of Utah. I don't know what you see when you see them. J.J. McCarthy looked awful yesterday, but he has looked like he throws an NFL pass most of the times we see him out there. I don't know who else they really like.
I like Penix, the Washington quarterback.
His history of knee injuries is very troubling.
But I'm taking him in the 4th or 5th round. I'm not going to take a high pick, and then I'm going to put him on my bench and see how he does. The biggest problem they have with Jared Goff is they got to work that contract because it's too much money to pay a game manager. But they could definitely redo his deal and keep him around. I just don't hate Goff. He's the least of their problems.
Yeah,
and he's basically Stafford. I mean, he's not horrible. He's just not going to win you anything. You're going to need defense around him. So, I mean, for my money, I'm not touching any of the quarterbacks in this class. I hate them all except Penix.
Really? What about the kid May out of North Carolina?
Yeah. Wait for next year.
Troy's big on him. I know he's a freshman. So
he's not eligible.
No, I said wait till
2
next
years
year to
off.
get him.
What about the kid from SC? I can't remember his name right now.
Caleb Williams?
Caleb Williams,
I think he's got to stay another year too, doesn't he? Played 1 year at Oklahoma, 1 year at USC. You got to be in 3 years.
Okay.
So he's got 1 more year. I don't think he can come out.
So is it possible we've had 2 dog shit quarterback drafts 2 years in a row?
Possible. But, I'm telling you, the league is hard for quarterbacks. I mean, these defensive coordinators scheme you up. They figure you out. And that's the problem J.J. McCarthy's having right now is there's film on him. So he's got to raise his game. He's got to elevate. And, the truest test of whether you have an NFL arm is if you can throw that thing into a small window. And he's having some difficulties. He's got the arm strength, but he needs to be able to throw the ball into a small window. And I think that's where you're going to see C.J. Stroud fail. That's why Justin Fields is no good because he can't. When you're in college, a lot of times you can arm punt the ball and get completions.
Yeah.
But when you play good defenses, you've got to be able to hit these guys in stride in a small window. So that's what makes the difference.
And I don't even see, like, McCarthy. A lot of these guys seem late on their throws too. Like, a guy's making his break, and then it's like 1,002. Like, go throw it. What are you doing? You do that in the NFL, you're toast. These guys make up so much ground. These corners and safeties, they're just too good.
And that's what JJ's got to do right now is he's got to elevate the quickness of his reads and get through his progressions so that the ball's not late. I'm not as concerned about him as some other people are. I don't think he's the problem. But he's not this year going to be the guy who's going to put you on the shoulders. That's on his shoulders. That's going to be next year in the hopefully the year after.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm worried about Saturday. I think this team could get housed on Saturday.
No. What
Columbus.
is Ohio State? What has Ohio State showed you that you think they're going to house any top 10 defense? The Maryland game where they had to get a late sack to win by more than 3. Northwestern where they had to get a late touchdown to cover, or not even cover, where they had to get a late touchdown to make it respectable.
Wide receivers.
Wide receivers
on both sides. Ours can't play and theirs can.
Yeah.
Well, where were those receivers at Northwestern? And hey, it's going to rain. It's going to be 70% chance of rain mixed with snow and high winds.
That helps Michigan.
Well, of course it does. Yeah, of course. But those receivers, and Njigba hasn't played. Henderson's hurt, so they got a freshman running back too. And the only thing you got to do is shut down Harrison Jr. Yeah. I mean, Njigba hasn't played all year.
Who do you think? Sandra still? You put him on?
He's a nickel, isn't he? He's not.
Yeah, but you know what they'll do?
He's becoming quite a cover guy.
They're going to start the game single in man coverage, and then I think you'll see what they did when the wide receiver from Michigan State was too big to cover. They'll put Rod Moore on the big receiver with one of the corners, or maybe Will. You know, the freshman can run with people. So if Will Johnson covers, they'll give him help. Yeah. So the minute you see them start to get a little traction with those receivers, they'll make that adjustment where they move one of the safeties over. They've done it all year.
Yeah. Do you think Blake Corum goes on Saturday? Obviously, he'll go on Saturday, I think, but
I don't know. I think he said he'll be back, but he didn't say when. They said there's no structural damage, so I'm hoping it's just a bruise, and then it's just pain tolerance at that point.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to be at 100%, which I think they'll need to win, unless Edwards can pick up some of that slack. And apparently he was cleared to play last week, and they just held him out. So, I mean, look, I think this is going to be a good game. I don't think anyone's housing anybody in this game. Yeah. The Buckeyes have not shown that they're the complete team that Michigan's been far more consistent than they have all year long. The Buckeyes will play a great game, and then they'll struggle. If Michigan quits, that's the only way they get housed.
Well, they're not going to do that.
I don't think so, but you never know. I mean, you get down early and you get kicked in the face, and we'll know really quickly if this team's personality has changed, because in the past they would quit, but since last year. You have to ask yourself if they will, because maybe something's changed there. But I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to get ourselves a game. And I'll be honest with you, I think there's a better than 70% chance both of these teams get in the playoff no matter what happens.
Okay, I was just going to ask you that. If Michigan loses, obviously blowout fashion either way, and you bounce. You're going to get bounced. But if you have one of these games that is just a classic, both teams look great, and somebody has to win. Say Ohio State wins. They're ranked second. Michigan's third for now. So you see a path that they could both still get into the playoff?
Oh, absolutely.
Wide open path. Well, number one, don't forget, USC still has to play Notre Dame and the Pac-12 championship game against Oregon. So if they get through those two, they probably would deserve to get in over a one-loss Michigan, but I don't see that happening. I don't see them winning both of those games. But if Michigan plays a close game and then gets to sit on the sideline if they lose, I think that they'll have an opportunity to be that fourth seed in a rematch with Georgia.
Oh God. Although Georgia doesn't look like Georgia. So
Not like last year's Georgia. Last year's Georgia was a
No.
really damn good team,
That
but they look
defense is
good.
still pretty tough, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're younger this year than they were last year. Last year it was grown men against college guys.
yeah.
You know,
And it
this year it's
showed
college
half
guys
that
against college guys.
yeah, and half that team goes to the league.
Yeah,
So
and they're good.
Yeah, and they're very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
What do
gonna
you
be an
think
interesting
Michigan
week.
needs to do? Do the receivers need to step up? Do they need to just play a perfect game defensively? Do special teams play a role? Like, where
I
do
think
you
what's
see this
got to
one
happen.
landing?
I think if Blake Corum is Blake Corum, I think Michigan's got an excellent shot to win. The Michigan team in the last 2 years has been brilliantly designed by Jim Harbaugh to beat Ohio State. And that formula is play great defense, because nobody else in the country plays great defense except Georgia. There's only 2 teams that even pretend to play defense, Michigan and Georgia. So play great defense and possess the ball with Blake Corum. That's why Blake's so important. If he can keep moving those chains like Haskins did last year, and then they can hit some stuff over the top like Michigan did last year, they'll be in good shape. But that's where you got to wonder about Blake's knee. And look, I think Edwards can do it too, but Haskins and Corum do a great job of not losing yardage. And you saw when the freshmen came in, they were apt to lose yardage. They looked fine for freshmen, C.J. Stokes and those other guys, but they don't look like upperclassmen yet, where they just put your head down and get the yardage.
Well, they went from 6 yards a carry in the first half to 3 in the
Right.
second. Like you saw the difference immediately.
But I think Stokes is good.
Young.
He tried to make some cutbacks that I don't think were advised. He should have just gotten the first down a couple times. He stopped, wanted to cut, and they caught him. I think there's just a feel for the game you get after you've been there a couple of years, and I think that's why I expect Stokes to be really good going forward. But I'm telling you, with Haskins and Corum, it's all straight ahead football. They're going to run the ball and get 5-6 yards a carry, and that's winning football. These other guys will get you 3 yards, and I think that's the way this thing is devised. Keep that offense off the field, which is what they did last year.
Time of possession is huge in a game like this. Huge.
It has been all year and last year. Yes, just possess the football. Keep Stroud
Wear
on the
defense
bench.
down.
Yep, and their defense looks soft. I think if Corum's there and he's 85 to 90% healthy, I think Michigan's going to be very happy with the outcome, because they just got to keep moving the ball forward against the soft defense. Ryan Day's personality is soft. They're just not these guys aren't Michigan, Illinois, or Wisconsin. You know what I mean? Because even Illinois showed they're going to punch you in the face.
Yeah.
And so is Wisconsin. And I think that's where I think Ohio State is vulnerable. They're more of an SEC team playing in the Big Ten. And when it gets ugly on Saturday, you want your big fat guys up front to just push your face around. And I think that's what –
Well, you talk about how Michigan was built to beat Ohio State. Ohio State was sort of built to beat the SEC. So they designed their team around that. And about the defense, just, run and gun to be able to outscore, because that's the league they were in. They didn't have to worry about Michigan.
Yeah.
And it's just funny how the teams were both built, and we'll see how it turns
And now
out.
both teams are kind of fucked, because we're not built to play Georgia.
Yeah.
But yet if we keep knocking them off, they're not going to be able to get to Georgia.
Right.
So
Were
it's
you
an interesting
worried?
situation.
Were you worried yesterday watching Michigan getting such a tight game with Illinois?
Yes.
Yeah. Your
I
son must
did
have been
think they
going
would-
crazy.
Oh, my God, he was having a fit.
Yeah.
He actually got in an argument with my wife and left the room. Because
Really?
my wife
Over what?
Well, my wife likes to sit there and just randomly yap during games,
Oh,
and me and
one
the
of
kids
those.
just want it quiet,
Yeah.
So she's like, "So Noah, how's school going?" And Noah's like, "Are you kidding me? I'm not having a great day right now. I don't want to talk about this," because he gets really into it. And I looked at her. I said, "I was probably that annoying at his age too when the games were on."
Yeah.
But yeah, he just went upstairs and watched it. He didn't want to be bothered. Normally, he'll sit there with me and watch it, but he can't handle the inane banter during the game.
Yeah.
So-
You know what? We have a house rule here, and it's very simple. Troy and I do not let people come over and watch football with us.
Very few.
Unless they know football like really well. You know, if you don't know football, you're going to have inane, stupid bullshit conversations, and
Right.
and then there's the classic think they know it all fucking fan who doesn't know shit, and there's nothing worse. And so it's just like no. I don't care how many people want to come over, they're not welcome. No offense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't want to be bothered. I don't
No.
want to be bothered. Like,
No.
I love to sit there watch with my oldest. My youngest comes down and he watches, but he's not always there. He's more of a hockey fan, but he actually just got accepted to U of M Dearborn, so he wants to play there.
Nice.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So I like watching with my son, and he just loves to talk football with me. And like when we go on road trips, that happens. But my wife comes in and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna make the nachos," and we're like. Yeah, at one point I looked at her and I said, I don't need a commentary of everything you do. Just get up and make the nachos.
Yeah, make the nachos, bring them in, shut the fuck up, and leave. Yeah.
Right. Just like, it's so funny, though, because when she's watching one of her myriad of stupid shows, if I sit down and say anything, she does this. She grabs a remote, demonstratively hits pause, and looks at me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I'm like, but you
100%.
have no problem doing that to us.
Yeah, it's
so
so passive
funny. Women
aggressive.
are
It's such a passive aggressive move to do that. The obnoxious pause, like, well, continue. That's what Fellhauer does to his wife Julie. He does the fucking the big pause and then
huff.
just like, no, sweetheart, obviously this is really important to you. So go ahead, and she's just like, shut up, Mark. But we all know it, and now we just lock the doors here. We don't let people in. There's very few.
I don't invite anybody over because I just want to sit and watch with my kid. And, so I was a little nervous. I thought they were going to lose. But then to make that big fourth down play, I mean, it was a nail biter. That was a fun game. But this was the 97 Iowa game. This was last year's Penn State game. Yeah. You got to have one of those every year.
Good to be tested.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, even if they lose it, they still can beat Ohio State and get in. But I think that by sneaking it out, there's probably a shot they're going to. I would say 70% chance they're in the playoff as long as they don't get bombed in Ohio State.
Yeah.
I mean, the only question mark is USC. I mean, as long as everybody wins out, obviously one of us is going to lose. But SC with the one loss to Utah on the road, 1 or 2 point loss, whatever that was, I could see where they might try to sneak a Pac-10 team in there.
Well, their strength of schedule is
much better.
Good.
Yeah,
much
that's
better.
what
Okay, but
Big
hold
Ten
on.
has against them.
Hold on, though. Mm-hmm. Isn't Michigan 1 or 2 point loss in the horseshoe a better loss than losing to Utah on the road?
Yeah, unless they've got, I think they have a lot more wins against quality teams, ranked teams, than Michigan does.
Wait, I thought that was their first real good win, wasn't it?
Who?
Did they beat Oregon already? Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Who's their best win?
UCLA over the weekend.
Yeah.
UCLA's ranked in the top 20.
They beat an Oregon State, a ranked Oregon State on the road. They still, and that's being another one. They still have Notre Dame. So assuming they win out, they'll have that Notre Dame win as well.
If they win out. But right now, I think Michigan's win is better, and their loss would be better, theoretically.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Penn State's number 10, right?
Penn State?
Yeah, now.
Yeah. And Notre Dame's looking better, though. So Notre Dame keeps winning and beating ranked teams.
13 right now.
They're 13 now. They were out of the conversation a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but when you lose to Marshall and Stanford.
Yeah, but it's bad. But since then, I mean, who did they clobber a couple weeks ago?
Who was it?
Alabama, or not Bama, but Clemson.
Yeah.
Smoke Clemson. Yeah. So they've put together a couple quality wins, and my only point to that is, as they get ranked higher up, it's going to make a win over them by SC look more impressive. Yeah. And do they want two Big Ten teams?
That's
in the
more my point too. If it's close, I could see where they don't put Michigan and Ohio State back in there again. If Ohio State after last year too.
I was reading Stuart Mandel from The Athletic, and he made the point that they'd rather have two Big Ten teams than an ACC one loss or a Pac-12 1-loss. Although Los Angeles is sexy. So
Right.
Yeah.
I think just to be safe, we need to see USC lose one, and then I think Michigan's in no matter what. That's why I was so pulling for UCLA the other night, because I thought if they win, Michigan's in the playoff no matter what happens Saturday.
Really?
You're
Even
not
with an
gonna put
ass
a-
kicking?
But you're not going to put a 2-loss team over a 1-loss team, are you?
No.
Who knows?
Clemson's the only other one-loss team, and
Yeah, and they got
garbage.
But they'd have to
smoked.
jump. But they'd have to jump 5 guys. They have no good wins.
Right.
I mean, they're ranked like 8th or something. They'd have to jump a lot of teams, and they can't do it because who are they going to play in the ACC title game? Nobody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought that's why UCLA pulling that out was key. You need USC to lose a game to guarantee they're in.
And what do you say they have left? They got Notre Dame and then the
And then
championship
Oregon
game.
again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be tough. Oregon will be tough.
Yeah, no matter who wins the Michigan-Ohio State game, they're just going to get another win because the West sucks.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Bad,
Pac-10 is not guaranteed, and it's funny because if the Big Ten had gone away from divisions this year, we'd have Ohio State, Michigan 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
No matter
Can
what.
you imagine? Yeah, Troy and I were
Wouldn't that
talking
be
about
amazing?
that.
And
Did
one
they
of
do
them
that?
on neutral field. One would
Right.
be on a neutral field, and one would be in Columbus.
You're not
So,
going to the game,
look
are
forward
you?
to that.
Are you going to the game
Still-
on Saturday?
I want to go, and I could go, but I'm not paying $500 a ticket. I'm just
Is that what
morally
it's going
opposed to it.
for?
I bet.
They were going down last week, but see, I also won't sit in the rain to watch football, and it's going to rain, 70% chance,
Yeah.
and it's going to be snowy and rainy and windy, and I'm like, I think I'll just sit on my couch.
So you like going there in person. See, I like having the announcers and the ability to pause a game and go take a piss, make food,
Well, But I have a kid who loves it, and it's good quality time.
Yeah.
If he stopped going with me, if he got a girlfriend or something and wanted to, go get a handy,
I'd go with you.
but then I don't want to go if he's not going, right?
Yeah. I guess that makes sense for the
I'm kind of
memories.
over that.
Yeah, for people like you and I that went to so many concerts and so many sporting events over the years, like I am done. Unless it's something I really, really want to go see. I'd rather watch it on TV. It's just,
look,
just the
I'll
reality
go-
nowadays.
I'll go if you don't make it too hard on me. Like particularly, I liked going to sit in the press box in the bad weather games because then it didn't affect me. But
Yeah.
now, if I got to sit out in the middle of a game and get soaked, I would only go if my kid begged me to go. But he's like me. He's like, yeah, I ain't sitting in that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we already went to 3 games.
They must have hated giving you press box seats.
Michigan liked me because I'm pretty positive
slappy.
about what they do. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but they also, I also understand Michigan. It's all they're weird. They're just they think that they invented football a lot of times, and like I even joked after the injury to Blake. I said, okay, so now it's going to be a week of playing coy about whether he's healthy, and then they'll trot him out for a play or two to start the game, and then he'll never return. The typical games they always play because they don't do transparency anymore.
Yeah, the DeAndre Swift move, if you will.
Yeah.
That's what they keep doing with him. Bring him out for a couple plays, and it's like, what is going
And then
on
he's gone.
here?
I know.
Yeah. And Harbaugh's the worst, too. Harbaugh's the biggest. He's worse than Belichick almost. He's not going to give you anything as far as what's going on with these kids. That Corum hit just looked so innocent. If it's more than a fucking bruise, I mean,
It didn't even look like it got hyperextended.
no, not at all. I mean,
No,
yeah.
I think it's got to be a bruise because that
It's
knee did
gotta
not
be.
bend backward.
Yeah.
No.
And if it's a bruise, it's all pain tolerance, man.
Yeah.
And you know
they can
what?
load him up.
And
They can load him up and get him out there.
I don't think you can do that with a knee, though, because you got to be able to feel it. Otherwise, he'll be gimping around out there like he can. But damn, these kids need to put their knee guards back in. They've cut them down to nothing. The ones we used to wear, they went from your shin all the way up to your thigh.
Yeah.
Now
I
they're
know.
wearing these things that they cut down.
Seeing the knee pads like halfway up their thigh now, you're like, what is this doing, dude?
What's the point? But they need to have. If he'd have had that thing down there, the bigger ones, we wouldn't be talking about this right now.
It doesn't look cool, though. It's like wearing giant shoulder pads. Back in the day, you know, when everyone wore giant shoulder pads, it looks ridiculous, so they don't wear them anymore.
True, and a neck roll.
And the neck roll, yeah. So they're trying to bring the neck roll back.
Are they?
Yeah. You see some guy. There's a few guys sporting it nowadays.
It was always the middle linebacker white guy like Spielman who had the neck roll on.
Yes.
Right?
I was looking at watching 55 in that Giants Lions game, thinking, man, if I was wearing 55 in that Giants jersey, I'd have the Carl Banks full,
Yes,
neck roll on, peeled way back like a V-neck.
Yep, I think they do. I think a lot of the players do it now because it makes them feel faster. Like the receivers don't wear any pads anymore in the NFL.
No,
it's just shoulder pads. There's no ass pads. There's no leg pads.
No,
if I was a lineman, man, I was padded up because I was going to hit. I wanted to hit you, and I don't know what. But now, like, they don't even teach pass blocking or run blocking the same way they did us. Now, pass blocking. It's all technique, the kick step, and you can use your hands now where we couldn't. Back in the day, you had to use your arms. You couldn't use your hands.
Yeah.
So it's all different now, which necessitates a lot less pads. The only pad that matters anymore is your helmet.
Yeah, true. So if you had to give a score prediction for Saturday, what do you got?
I think it's going to be in the 20s. I think it's going to be something like 24-21. I think Michigan wins. Wouldn't bet the house on it. But by saying that, someone's getting blown out probably. But I just see a close game. Michigan plays defense. Ohio State doesn't. Michigan can run the ball. Ohio State may be able to run the ball. And we know Stroud tends to turtle in bad weather. I think that somebody say there was a stat where he's never won a game where it was under 35 degrees.
Really?
And it would only be a handful. It would be Ann Arbor last year. So I don't know. That could be bullshit, but I think I heard that.
What? I mean, he couldn't have lost too many games.
Yeah, really.
Maybe one or two, maybe. So Michigan, did they lose to State or?
I don't know how.
Is this his third year, right? Stroud starting there?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's a stupid stat because he lost one game last year.
Right.
But you remember how much he whined about the weather last year.
Yeah. Where's he from?
In Ann Arbor. I think California.
Oh, okay. Well, that would make sense.
Let me look.
That would make sense.
He's soft.
Yeah.
I'm just going to look him up now that you asked that. C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, because if he's from the Midwest, that's a problem. If he's whining about the weather.
Rancho Cucamonga, California.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Soft.
Yep. Then don't go to Ohio State, dummy. Go to UCLA or USC.
Exactly.
You pretty much guarantee you're not playing in cold weather. So, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun game.
The Lions.
Oh, come on.
I mean, dude, you have to give them something here. 3 straight wins, 2 of them on the road. Yesterday against what everyone thinks is a decent team, what Brian Dable's doing there with the Giants, you have to be mildly impressed. I know you think their coach is a meathead, and this team's not worthy.
Saquon, 15 carries, 22 yards.
Yeah, impressive.
Hold on, though. Let me tell you. Here's the thing I will give Dan Campbell a ton of credit for, and I like Dan Campbell. I just think he's a meathead. I hope he wins. I want him to stay here. Hey, Wayne Fonz was a meathead. He won. I don't care. I want him to win. I just thought the hard knock stuff was bullshit, and everyone was all bricked up over him dancing and screaming and being an idiot.
Yeah, it's propaganda film. That's all it is. Right. I get it.
But let's give him credit for one thing. He's not making the same mistakes he personally made coaching in the early games. He's taking the points when it's time to take the points. He's not going for it on 4th down when it's a dumb idea. He's evolving and learning. And if that continues, I'll be happy about him because he made a lot of dumb mistakes.
Yeah, but I had less of a problem when they were 1-6, and I know Fox is probably their best player. This weapon as a punter. But to me, when you're 1-6, why even have a punter or a kicker? Just go for every 4th down. Who gives a shit?
Right, but they didn't have to be 1-6 because he made so many mistakes against Minnesota. I mean, if you're 1-6 and going nowhere, yeah, but they didn't have to be 1-6. He cost them a couple games by chasing points too early instead and going for it on fourth down when he should have punted. He cost them the game in New England because he decided to go for it on 4th and 9. He
Yeah, but
cost
they
them.
got smoked by New England.
But you could have been completely different though if
Set
they
the tone.
score, like, take the points there instead of letting them run down the field and go up 10. That's my point. Sometimes you just got to be boring. Like there's times where Harbaugh does it too, and I'm like, all right, you got to punt it, but damn it,
Yeah.
And I think he got impatient a lot of times, and I think he put himself in bad situations. But he's not doing that now. He hasn't done that the last 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
Even yesterday, I would have been okay with him going for it on that first 4th and 2 inside the 10, 0-0, first drive of the game. And we had the conversation was like that shows growth. That shows, taking the points, rewarding your offense for that drive, not coming up
And building
empty
on
and
it.
putting yourself behind it. But that's a situation where I'm like, I could see going for it right there because it's still 0-0. It's early in the game.
Pin them.
Impatience, my friend. That would be that he needs. As a head coach, the thing that I'm noticing that I really think makes a really good head coach is patience. Get the 3 and start stacking wins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then next series, get a stop, come back out, and just don't just leave them on the field. That's where it costs you. Like if he goes for it there and misses it, and they run down the field and score, it's a different ballgame.
Right?
Yeah, it's funny that we're talking about this because Troy and I watch these games together all the time, and I'm historically fucking go for it. Come on, man, it's 4th and 1, just go for it. Why kick the 35-yard field goal? And Troy is always more conservative about it, going, dude,
take the points.
You got down here. Time to reward that offense. Give them the 3. Learn to fucking fight another day, and you've got some points on the board. This and that. And the amount of times when we're watching a game as it gets further and further along, and Troy will just look at me and
you go for it.
Troy would look at me and just be like, really could use that 3 points right about now, couldn't you? Really could use that 3 points right about. And these games are always so close, and it's like you can literally pinpoint the dumb decisions that coaches made to go for it, failed, took points off the board essentially, and it's like, yeah. In the 3rd and 4th quarter, you're going, yeah, God, really could use that fucking field goal right about now that they gave away in the first quarter or second quarter.
By its very nature, football is a conservative sport. And I'm not talking politically. I'm talking from a mentality standpoint. You got to be patient. Like, you got to set up.
What does that mean, Greg, patience?
Well, number one, when you don't, early in the game, don't chase points. Be patient because you can chase points late in the game. Right? You always have a chance to chase points late in the game. Don't get behind an owl. Like, don't go for 2 too soon if you're only down 1. If you miss an extra point. Set up your plays. Run that dive 4 times before you pull it out and RPO it across the middle. Right? Hand the ball off 5 straight times. It's just that you have to be patient and conservative. Very few teams long-term win with a very hastily played game. Like, there's examples. The Greatest Show on Turf. Those guys were very hasty, and they were going to go fast, and they were going to be aggressive. The Philadelphia Eagles under Peterson, where they lost the Super Bowl, or not Peterson, Chip Kelly, were going to be fast. Remember, they put the play counter. How many plays are they going to run in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
I think ultimately the key, and you'll most likely come out on the correct end of the scoreboard, is when you're patient and consistent, and don't get behind, don't chase points, don't go for 2 too early, and on 4th and 1 or 2,
don't onside kick.
Don't onside kick unless you really see something that you think you can burn them on, which we've seen it happen. But yeah, don't onside kick till late. These games come down to the last 5 minutes almost all the time.
Yeah.
So leave yourself in position to win it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of coaching, it's not lost on me that this defense, especially the secondaries, played quite a bit better the last few weeks. Right after they fired Aubrey Pleasant, their secondary coach. It's hard to think that a coach is the problem, but what's the correlation there? You think?
Yeah, great question.
Well, maybe he wasn't getting through to the players on their scheme. That could have very easily been it.
Yeah.
I'm not out there and I don't know, but something's happened. And it's also the resurgence of Jeff Okuda, although he didn't play yesterday, did he?
No, he got hurt.
I didn't see him. Yeah.
Was he concussed? I think he got
he is.
concussed.
Yeah, he played and then left. He started. I mean, he was in the game, but then left. Yeah.
And they don't think he's going to play Thursday because the concussion protocol, they just
Probably
don't think
not.
there's time to get him back in there. Yeah.
Well, and then the other corner, I think, was bad early on and is playing much, much better now.
Kirby looks great.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're just growing into their roles. But, God, when you go from that Miami game where they never threw they didn't seem to throw any incomplete passes to now, it's pretty stunning. I mean, it's a remarkable turnaround for that secondary.
Have you ever seen this before? I'm trying to think of an example, and I can't come up with one, where a team is number one in the league in offense the first 5, 6, 7 weeks, whatever it was, and then literally the worst offensive team in the league. And not only that, but during that early string, their defense was the worst in football. And now all of a sudden, it's like a total reversal. And now their defense looks better. What is that? Can you think of any other teams historically where, like, barring some critical injury to a quarterback, that can derail an offense? But
I think clearly Hawkinson was the problem. I think there's just a lot of young guys. The receiver was hurt. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been beat up. Yeah. I think it's hard to establish consistency. Swift never plays. Yeah. And I think it's hard to establish consistency when, you got practice squad guys starting games for the offense. So I think that happened in the middle. I mean, I don't think it's any secret that when Brown is not in the lineup, the offense is going to struggle. And I'm hoping to see this Marquise Williams. Is it Jameson Williams?
Jameson Williams.
Yeah, he just started practicing, so we should see him on the field here soon.
Yeah.
I was a big advocate of not playing him at all. But now that they've won 3 games, I don't think it's a problem to get him in there. But
I think they get him in there too. They're second place right now. This is an absurd conversation. I understand that.
They're in the hunt.
They're in second place in the North right now. And looking at their schedule, obviously I'm going to give them a loss to on Thanksgiving. They're not going to beat the Bills. But, you look at the Jags coming up. The Vikings look beatable. The Jets don't look the same. The Panthers, the Bears, the Packers. There's some winnable games in there, and the NFC is down. The NFC is wide open. Is there some outside weird chance starting 1-6 that this team could find themselves in a playoff mix?
Wait, they'd have to win the division, though.
Well,
right?
With the Vikings, they play the Vikings again. The Vikings look like absolute shit against the Cowboys yesterday.
But what's their record? 8-2?
8-2.
Yeah, 8-2.
Okay, so you got to make up 4 games. That'll be tough.
But one against them.
You don't think they could get in any other way, a wild card somehow?
I haven't looked yet, but they seem to be a lot of teams with the same record.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the South. The Bucks are leading it with 5 wins. Seahawks are winning the West with 6 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, that NFC East is a beast. I mean, those are all playoff
caliber
teams.
Yeah, let's see. Regular season. I think you want to go by conference, right? Yeah. So right now, the Lions are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th. You need to be top 8. Yeah. So I guess it's theoretically they could, but they're still negative on points, though. They're still, 32.
They definitely have a soft schedule coming up, though. They have an opportunity.
Right. Yeah, and do you think this is one of those teams, like every year we see a couple of these teams where they look like shit early, and then they hit a point come November where you don't want to play them? We've seen that historically with franchises. Do you think there's any chance the Lions could be one of those teams that people are like, I don't know what to make of this team, but I don't want to play them? Or do you think people would welcome playing Lions?
No one's afraid of the Lions.
It's the longest winning streak in the NFC, just saying.
Right, but it's also, when you look at a roster, who's got talent and who doesn't. Yeah. So no one's afraid of them, but they certainly could win. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the Jags, even as bad as they are saying, oh, my God, we can't beat the Lions or the Bears or You know what? I think they're all those teams are kind of in the mixer of shit right now. They're just football teams, and you literally could throw some dice out and pick, the guys after the top 6, those last 2 playoff spots that they're doing now. I mean, they could sneak in, and some dipshit under 500 team will probably get in.
Well, we've seen this before where a team that you just go as if, the Giants come to mind, have done it a couple times,
Right.
where they eke into a playoff run. Next thing you know, they're in the Super Bowl. Next thing you know, they're beating an undefeated New England team.
Last year, Cincinnati. I
mean, why not? Why not? The possibility exists. It's still open. It's nice to have that conversation in November. Do you give them any chance versus the Bills whatsoever?
Sure. Here's why. The Lions always show up on Thanksgiving. They might not always win.
Did. Yeah, I don't know about the last few years. The last few years, they've been an embarrassment on Thanksgiving.
But historically, they've shown up. They might lose, but they show up.
Yeah.
And I don't know, something seems to be wrong in Buffalo. They're not exactly, setting the world on fire like we all thought. I think Allen's hurt, to be honest with you. I don't think he's hurt enough not to play, but something's up, I think. So you never know, man. I think it is. You never know, man. What if you hit his elbow and he can't anything can happen. I give him a chance. Yeah, I do. I'd say they got a 25% chance of winning that game, a 50% chance of keeping it within a score.
That's why they play the games.
Keep it close. I just don't want to be embarrassed on national TV. The Lions don't show up on national TV very often, and to come in and get just housed in your own house on your holiday game would suck. It'd be nice to be in a ball game with what most people believe is a top tier team in Buffalo.
Well, they were the national darlings too, coming off of Hard Knocks. So being a being a nationally televised game here on Thanksgiving, if they can win and make it 4 in a row, they're going to get a lot of national energy.
Yeah.
And even if they keep it close and they have a good showing, they'll feel it, and that's going forward. That could go a long way.
If they win, I want you guys to bring another one bites the dust out of mothballs.
Oh, I love it.
Deal.
I love it. Yeah, problem. No problem. Now, do you think when you're talking about NFL players, and I don't know, but I assume it to be true, there's a difference between a 1-game win streak, a 2-game, and then a 3-game. As far as confidence in these young kids, believing hey, man, we just went into New York and beat a 7-2 Giants team. There's no reason we can't go home and put it down on a Bills team where we're older. We've seen enough of this shit to know, the better team usually wins. Do these guys start buying into a different level when you start hitting 3-game win streaks?
I think 2-game win streaks on the road are more important because it's a bitch to win on the road, man. Yeah, not many teams win on the road that aren't good. The 500 teams, the 500 level or below, never win on the road. Yeah. That's why I thought the Chicago win and the way it happened was kind of a big deal. And then yesterday I was at my kids' hockey game, so I missed the first quarter and a half, but I turned it on and was like, holy, what's going on here? Yeah. And I don't think the Giants are that good, but they're good enough that you go on the road and you beat them, it matters. So I think it helps to go on the road and win. It's got to give you a little swagger.
Yeah, right? I mean, they seem to be –
yeah. They stood up against that run. That seemed to be a question mark on that defense too.
Saquon, 15
for
22.
Saquon?
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. He's on my fantasy team.
How's your fantasy team doing?
Are you good?
Up. No, seriously, Troy's team sucks.
I'm kidding. No, mine's 3-7 going into tonight.
Oof.
Oh, no. And I have a really good team. I just get shit on every week. Somebody will go off on me every week.
Yeah,
and it's
excuses.
Really. I played my kid yesterday. Okay, I'm playing him right now. The game he's up by 90 points on me because Derrick Henry went off. Some dude named T. Higgins, Olave went off. The Washington defense scored 21 points. So he shit all over me. Yeah. And none of my guys did shit. So there we go.
Yeah. Do you usually do well in fantasy?
I do usually do. I make the playoffs, yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, how? Oh, and like Jamar Chase is injured.
Yeah.
But this team is not bad. Check out my team, okay? You guys do some therapy for me. Okay. I got
Yep.
Lamar. Okay.
Jackson?
My running backs.
Yep.
Yeah. My running backs are I have Debo Samuel, George
Okay.
Kittle, Saquon Barkley. I got who's my other running back? Oh, Jamar Chase and Ezekiel Elliott, who's useless.
Yeah. Totally.
And Kareem Hunt. I mean, I got enough pieces to win,
Thanks,
right?
brother.
It sounds like 3-7 team to me.
No,
Shut
that
up.
sounds like a winning team. Troy, who do you have on your team? See, I don't play
have garbage.
fantasy. I stopped playing fantasy years ago because it made me root against my Niners and Lions. And this was my philosophy. Now, I know you guys are big sports fans, football fans, so it doesn't apply to you. But what I found historically was people that play fantasy football, I'm going to piss some people off here. People that play fantasy football are people that typically don't know fuck all about football, and they don't really have a dog in the fight, so they can root for their players all over the league, no matter who they're playing. To me, I take it way too personally when I'm watching my Lions or my Niners. I don't want to subconsciously be rooting against my teams so that some asshole receiver on someone they're going against can have a big game. I just can't do it.
See, I never do that. I want my teams to win before I want my fantasy team to win.
Okay.
Because I'm not a fantasy shit talker that gets self-esteem by beating all the other guys in the office. I'm like, that we suck. I don't care. But my 17-year-old is a big-time fantasy shit talker. He'll come down and be like, Dad, I'm shitting down your throat right now. Or whatever. He said. He loves to win. Loves it.
Got to take those
And then
dubs
they
when you
start
can.
arguing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Troy's team blows too. Who do you have on your team?
I have garbage. No, I'm not even going to get into it. I'm tanking for Tua. It's a keeper league. All my keepers expired. I was behind the 8 ball before the season even started. I've drafted.
Yeah.
I've traded away some pieces for. So I've got 4 picks in the first 2 rounds next year. So I'm just trying to set myself up going forward.
Yeah.
Well,
I knew
at
I
least
was
you
going
got
to be
the World
relevant,
Cup.
so I'm playing for next year.
At least you got the World Cup, buddy.
Oh, dude, that World Cup. I had it on sort of in the background while I was prepping some stuff for today, and the Team USA looked so dominant over Wales. They lived in the fucking Wales half of the
For 45 minutes. The guy only made one save.
Yeah. They scored that goal early. It's 1-0. It's like, dude, you can't lose this game. And then, of course, Team USA found a way to basically lose. They didn't. They got a tie, which is just so boring in and of itself.
Well, and that's what I said. My kids are all, horny over the World Cup, and I'm like, I don't care. And he goes, and I get the typical argument, well, the rest of the world watches it in record numbers. And I said, I don't live in the rest of the world. I live in America.
Yeah.
So I'll watch Team USA, but I ain't watching Ecuador against, buttfuck Egypt. I'm not watching that game. I don't care.
Such a time suck.
Oh, it is such a time suck. And, dude, having a 1-1 game and watching them pass.
2 things.
Oh, I can't do it.
2 things. Number 1, people don't watch the World Cup in this country because we always gack. And number 2, games end in ties. Screw that. I'm like, I was ready for overtime.
Yeah.
And then
What happened to the
what do you mean it's
shootout and
over?
all that shit?
Yeah. Right.
I thought the same
Do
thing.
it.
Like, wait a minute. I thought they
2
would
teams
do
enter, 1 team leave.
There you go.
Yeah. I thought they'd do a 10-minute overtime bullshit, and then they'd go to a shootout or something.
Rock, paper, scissors.
And I was waiting on 3-on-3 hockey. Let's go.
Right.
3-on-3.
Yeah. So, it's boring as shit to watch. They're so hyped up here. It's on every TV, every commercial is about this damn thing, and it's like they're trying to make me care about it. I've told you before how my dad watches sports. He wants to watch LeBron lose or the Beard lose.
Right.
He wants to watch Serena. He watches tennis only to watch Serena lose. Like, that's what he does. And, he would watch women's soccer just to watch the women lose. He hates the Team USA women so much because they won't shut the fuck up. They constantly want to take a knee for the flag, and it's all about fucking pride, whatever bullshit they're preaching.
You see what's going on at the World Cup though? All of these lefty idiots are over there, and they're trying to impose their LGBT whatever
It's
onto,
hilarious.
the Muslims. And they're like, you're not wearing that shirt, take it off. You're not wearing that armband, One Love, take it off, or we're going to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah.
No idea.
By the way, and before they were like, no, it's fine. We're going to be totally about your alphabet bullshit community in the West. And then you get over there and it's like, fuck your community. By the way, we're cutting off beer sales too. But don't think you're going to. And I love the way they do it too. They're like, look, we'll put up with a little of the homo-y stuff, but don't think you're going to walk through our fucking streets and start making out. We will kill you. You will get thrown off a roof for that shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the shit that happens over there. And FIFA's like, but it's so funny because FIFA's talking to Qatar and saying, Ixnay on the throwing them off a building snay. We're not doing that. But
Make it look like an accident.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I laughed so hard when I saw that this morning. All the captains now of all these European teams that were going to wear the armband that says One Love with the rainbow are now saying, whoa. You're going to cut my dick off? I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
You know, like they're all afraid.
Yeah. You're not in America anymore. Did Brittany Griner fucking teach you nothing? We've got Russian friends, and she's like, our lesbian friend, by the way, Jenny, and she's like, I hope they don't figure out that Brittany's a lesbian over there in Russia. That will not end well for her. I'm like, I don't know how you hide that.
They're not cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, when her wife is saying, my wife is in jail.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, is like, the rest of the world doesn't give a damn about that stuff, and they're not playing. They're not going to play. We like to get on our knees and tell everyone, oh, you're so special, and, we're so inclusive. The rest of the world doesn't do that. Maybe some of those woke European twats do, but for the most part, the rest of the world, like, especially the Middle East and the Chinese, they're not playing.
No. The Middle East of all places. Hilarious.
Right.
The idea that you're going to get some, like, they won't even let fucking women drive in half those goddamn countries. You know what I mean?
Cover your face, woman.
Cover your face, woman. They look like a bunch of glad bags running around the streets there. It's hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. The idea that they're going to subscribe to the West's woke narrative, which, by the way, has not been a thing for very long. You look at 2008. Prop 8 failed in California. They couldn't even get gay marriage approved in 2008 in California. We're not talking about fucking, way down south in some redneck hick town. We ain't having them faggots running around our town. No, you're talking California. Couldn't pass it.
No,
right? And now you expect that the fucking Middle East is just going to be like, oh, yeah, bring all your gay shit. And so as soon as there was pushback, the fucking Americans put on rainbow flag fucking armbands. It was like, dude, you're pushing the wrong buttons here, man.
That's how you lose an arm.
Yeah, these people are not going for this. They're just not.
Right. There's a story of some journalist I was reading. His name is Grant Wall, and he showed up, and I was reading this, but he showed up in his rainbow shirt, and they said, take it off. Take your shirt off. You can make this easy, the guy said, take it off. I told him no, adding the shirt wasn't political at all. After that, the guard eventually said, made me stand up, turn around, and face the camera. And he said, are you from the UK? And he wrote New York. And the guy went on and on and on. And finally they said, well, you're not going to be able to cover the game here. So bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Did they boot him?
Well, here's the funny thing. He says, the entire episode left me wondering, what's it like for ordinary Qataris that might wear rainbow shirts? They don't. They don't wear rainbow shirts.
They know better.
No, unless they accidentally wash it with a red sock or something.
I just hate that they think that they can impose their Western beliefs on other countries. Whether I believe it's right or not, it's irrelevant. That's their country. That's their property. That's their land. They can do whatever the hell they want with it. And until the people rise up and overthrow it, then you do what they tell you to do. When in Rome, baby, do it for Romans.
Troy's right. It's the arrogance of it all, where it's like, okay, I understand this playbook. has worked for you in America, where companies bend over backwards, corporations fold at the drop of a hat at just the thought of you guys protesting some shit. So you've gotten this really warped view that people actually give a shit more than they do about your stupid cause. More people are just like, just leave me out of it, man. I don't give a shit what you do. But the arrogance that thinks you're going to go to the Middle East and try and strong arm people into our beliefs, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. Stop it.
I know.
They
I
don't
just want
care
more-
like you do. You know?
No, and they don't care about life like you do. That's
No.
why they'll be perfectly willing to end yours if you push it too far.
Yeah.
Just go over there, watch soccer, be an adult, and stop worrying about your sexuality every 3 seconds, and watch the game. You know, we don't all have to wear our sexuality on our sleeve. I don't.
No.
I don't have any bandages on that say I like chicks and boobs. I don't. It's stupid.
There's no need.
It's like Pride Month with all these companies. You know, they change their logos to the rainbow and everything. Well, that's here. They don't change that around the world.
No. And
Right.
and if you notice, Mercedes and BMW, they'll all change their logo in America to the rainbow flag, but they will accept. Go ahead, Greg.
The Middle East. They never put those on in the other countries.
Exactly.
They don't fuck around. It doesn't get reported much, but if you look at those logos, they do not go rainbow in other parts of the world, which would be where it takes balls, honestly, to stand up. If you want to show real balls and support, do it in Qatar.
Yeah.
Do it in Saudi Arabia. Don't do it in America. You've already captured everybody in America.
I'll never understand any brand or company catering to any individual group. Whether they're gay, whether they're white men, whether they're white women, whether they're African Americans, whether they're Middle Easterners, sell your shit to everybody and stop worrying about, virtue signaling crap. Because even if every gay person in the world protested you, you still got 90% of the rest of the world buying your stuff.
Yeah.
What is the problem? It's like Clay Travis wrote a book once called Republicans Wear Sneakers Too. The famous quote from Michael Jordan. You're right. The fact this is going along with something I saw today. There's this article in this radio magazine by a triggered never Trumper Elon Musk hater who basically said to the rest of the radio world, maybe it's time to dump your Twitter account. Why? Because Elon triggered you? Shut up, man.
Yeah. Go
Come
away.
on.
It's
no
so
one needs
soft.
your lefty.
Because Orange Man's back.
Yeah.
Time to go.
It's
It's
such
so
a threat. It's a
ridiculous.
threat to democracy.
We saved democracy at the midterm.
Yeah. No shit. Yeah, it's infuriating, the narrative, the push, Troy and I one day were going through, I was just like, I wonder how many woke holidays there are. How many alphabet related holidays. So you've got Pride Month, they give you all of June.
Right.
Do yourself a favor. You want a good laugh? Just Google LGBT Days of Remembrance or whatever. It's literally every day of the year is something. Literally every day of the year.
A week here, a month
a day there, for
it's-
everything alphabet related you can imagine, there's already a fucking day for it.
Get this. What would you say the population of this country is of Hindus, people from India?
Oh, God. I don't know. A few million?
Yeah, I was going to say 15,
What
20
percentage of our
million, maybe?
population?
Oh,
3?
Maybe 10%? 20,
Yeah,
maybe?
that.
probably.
Okay. So my kids have last Monday off, the day before the election. And I said, well, what is this? They had it off for the Hindi holiday.
What?
But you know who? Yeah, a Hindu holiday. But you know what they had to work on? They had to work on Veterans Day or go to school on Veterans Day.
Really?
Why are we having a holiday for a very small portion of the population? If they want to take it off, fine.
Yeah,
but I
that's
want my
the way
kid
we
in
think.
school.
That's the way it happened when we were kids.
Yeah,
all of a sudden,
half the Jewish
no
people would be
Jews,
gone.
no Jews were in class one day, and you were like, "Oh,
Right,
it must be another
right,
Jewish
exactly.
holiday." Yeah,
Right. And I just don't understand how this all happened. And I'm not saying they can't have their time off. Take it off. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I want my kid's ass in school. And then
Can you imagine?
if you're gonna,
Imagine going to India and then wanting to demand that they have your whatever holiday off,
Independence Day.
Thanksgiving, Independence Day, Veterans Day, President's Day. Like, that's not how it works. I'm sorry.
and these woke companies, like there's radio companies, mine included, that jam down, like it's International Hispanic Heritage Month, and I'm like, are we doing? Last month was another one. Every month it's a new one, and I'm thinking, nobody cares about this. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So,
but
it's out of control. It's just out of control.
It is, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon.
Let me know when it's White Boy Day.
Yeah.
Every day's White Boy Day.
Every other day's White Boy Day, Troy. That's your problem. That's your privilege shining through.
True romance.
Oh, I was
All
watching,
right, buddy.
I was
Why
watching
don't we
White Boy Day.
why don't we wrap it there, Greg? What do you got going for Thanksgiving? Any big plans, pal?
Oh my God, it's a cluster. Okay. So me and my oldest, we're going to go to the Ohio State game, but if it's going to rain, we're not going. We really don't want to spend the money. So my youngest and my wife are going to Tampa tomorrow for a hockey tournament. So if my oldest doesn't want to go, I might just jump in the car and drive down to Tampa for the tournament. So I don't know.
Nice.
Do it.
Or do I just lay on my substantial sized ass and watch football?
Yeah, I would do that.
They got TVs down there.
Yeah, Tampa
Watch football in the
fun.
heat instead. Although it's not too bad.
Yeah.
So what do you do for Thanksgiving then? If you do that, would you do it down in Tampa?
This year, nothing. Well, they're having Thanksgiving dinner with the team, but I would probably just order in something with the wife, and my mother-in-law's going and my other kid. So this year is not going to be a traditional Thanksgiving meal, which every other year of my life except last year and this year has been.
Yeah.
So
it's my
that's
favorite
what happened.
holiday. I love it because I don't have to buy gifts for anyone. Like that's
who's
the
cooking?
Thing.
My
mom actually.
Oh, okay. You're going to your mom's?
Yeah, I'll go to my parents' house. So they're here half the year and half the year in California. So they stick around through Thanksgiving so they can do it with me, and then they'll shoot out west where my sister is. My brother's close out there. So
clearly they have a favorite.
Huh? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Clearly they have a favorite.
I'm a baby. Yeah, Cece.
Probably
that's
Cece.
Their favorite. 100%. 100%.
Yep.
Cece.
Who doesn't love that dog?
Yeah, she's awesome, man. She's great. So, Greg, awesome to catch up with you. I'm sorry the last couple of weeks has kind of been a mess, but it's
okay.
Great. We've got a couple exciting weeks of sports going on, so a little sports heavy today. But have a great Thanksgiving, buddy, and we'll do it.
You guys.
Yeah, we'll do it maybe next Monday. Sound good?
I'll be here. A 4-game winning streak, do you say, huh?
Hell yeah.
I don't know. I hope so. I'll be rooting for it.
They got a shot. They got a puncher's chance.
Excellent. And and good luck with Michigan, too. That's going to be – I'm a little more pessimistic than you are, but I'm hoping for the best. I think they got a good team, and hopefully they can pull it off. That'd be really exciting.
Even if they lose, it's been a great year. And you know what the consolation prize is?
Rose Bowl.
Fucking Rose Bowl. Yeah.
We could do worse. Amazing. We could do worse.
Yes, exactly.
All right, pal. Always great talking to you. We'll do it again next week. And happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
You too, guys. Thanks.
All right. Talk to you soon.
See you.
All right. We'll kill it there. Thanks, everybody, for joining the DFASS again today. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll do it again next Monday.